Happy football season, everybody, and welcome into the Gramlich and McLean podcast presented by Ingles, the official supermarket of Gramlich and McLean. We roll on, Eric McLean. We are talking about every single ACC team. Today, it's the Louisville Cardinals.
Come on, let's go. It's fun. I love this. We're in the thick of it. Day 2, KG, we're rolling with these guys and breaking my own rules here. But I'm excited to see this. And this is a team where it's one of those things where I have these moments with different teams where I kind of think one thing going into the offseason and kind of throughout. And then when I really start diving in, I'm like, well, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
Louisville's that team for me because, yes, they have a ton of different people coming in. I think they have 46 new players, which is crazy. But there's a lot of really good players that stuck around. And I love this staff. We talked with Coach Brohm here. Y'all are going to love this conversation and hearing his thoughts on it. So I might be a little wrong on Louisville. We're going to change that today. But I've done some radio interviews in the past where I was like, I don't know. I might know about them. So we'll jump into all of that, KG, with Coach. He's going to address a lot of these different things. And I look forward to you and I's conversation on the back end.
Did you know that Ingles sells more organics than any other store? Or that they run their own dairy? Or that they only serve USDA choice and prime meat? Did you know that they have more local craft beer than any place else? Or that they have Energy Smart stores? Or that they professionally slice and package imported cheese from Europe? Did you know about their giant international aisle, local farm partnerships, curbside pickup, wine department? Or that they donate 3,956 meals a day to local food banks? Well, now you do. It's all in the bag. Ingles, low prices, love the same.
Coach Brohm, great to see you, brother. Your first appearance here on the show. It's summertime. We're getting after it. How's everything going?
Everything's going well. I think summertime now is an important time for a lot of teams just to make sure that you get in your roster up to speed. We've definitely been doing that. And luckily, there's still a month to go before we start fall camp, and we're looking forward to it. But our guys are progressing well.
Coach, a lot of buzz around you guys this offseason for a variety of reasons. We'll talk about the success you've had in the portal. But I think the main buzz is because you're coming off a 10-win season and kind of brought Louisville back in many regards, played for an ACC title. Do you feel that buzz, or are you really trying to turn that page? How do you feel about that?
Well, I think we had a good year overall. We got to the championship game, which was great. We found a way to win a lot of close games, which was great to see, which just shows the fight that your team has, the togetherness your team has. Now, doesn't always happen. So we understand that this is a new year. We've got a challenging schedule. We've got some challenging road games. So we're going to have to be ready to go. So we'd like to find a way to improve. And I know that the margin for error is small, but we've got to get better. And we've got to play well in a lot of games this year in order to win. While we started fast, I thought we didn't play as well down the stretch the last 3 games. So there's a lot of room to improve there. And when you face good football teams, you can't have that happen. So we got to find a way to continue to improve and get all of our new people up to speed on what we're doing so that we can play well once game 1 rolls around.
Yeah, and you talk about those new people and having the number 1, transfer portal class, and just wanted to hear, what is your mindset with that portal? It's something that obviously people are using in a variety of different ways, but, with this kind of new world that we're in here, what is your mindset going into that thing?
I think every team has a different model of what they want to try to see get done. I think for us, we came in here last year as a new staff, and sometimes the pieces aren't exactly where you'd like for them to be, and you want to find a way to win now. I'm not a big guy that wants to try to win 3 or 4 years from now, even though that's important. I think it's important that you win now, and players want to win now. And the guys that are on your current team that maybe hadn't experienced all the success that they wanted in the past, they want the best teammates around them to help them win now. And I think that's the mentality we have. I've always had it that way. Even when we took over Purdue, that was the same mentality. Let's make sure this year 1, we try to win now. So I just think we found a way to piece some things together, but yet we still will have some missing components a little bit where we want to get better. We tried to get better. And I think as you continue to improve each year, and for some teams that are very established, maybe you don't have to dip in the portal as much, which is fine.
Right.
But if you can use it to help your team improve, if you can use it to at least create some really good competition while they may not be a starter, they're at least going to be competing for that and play quite a bit.
Sure.
I think you have to dive in there.
Yeah, and it makes total sense the way that you filled it in back-to-back years. I think top 5 classes, maybe more than that, maybe top 3 when you see the guys that you bring in there. You kind of touched on it there for a second. I'd love to just hear more about this kind of past versus now. And you talk about bringing these new guys in. It's kind of like having a lot of freshmen. How do you instill that culture, your program, who you are, how we do things so quickly, knowing that, you've got, 30 plus new guys walking in the door?
I really believe that that happens naturally. And I think anyone that's been around me knows I like to compete. I like to win, like everyone probably does. But we're not going to beat around the bush. I mean, we're here to be the best we possibly can be. We want to provide an atmosphere where people love coming in the building. They love putting in work. They love putting in extra work. They love studying the game. They love competing on a daily basis. And they even once the season hits, you got to continue to love that. You can't allow a few defeats or a few games where you don't play as well to really deflate you. So if you create that environment every day and you just kind of set that standard, really your people will buy in. They know that our coaches are here to help them win, to help them achieve success at a high level, and we expect that to happen. And I just think that you got to get the most out of your players. They want to be pushed. They want to win. And winning is more fun than just going out and playing the game. So we really feel like we've got that environment here. We've got a lot of people that want to be great if we can be, and we want to push the envelope and make sure we're challenging ourselves to step up each and every week, raise our level of play our best game we possibly can, and continue to improve. And that's just something that you want to try to see. You want to try to play your best ball at the end, and we hope to find a way to do that.
I'm in. Let's go, KG.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Love it, Coach.
I love that.
Feels like it's September, not July when we're recording this. But one of those guys that you went and got in the portal is Tyler Shuck, who has played a lot of college football. I know you guys are really high on him. Tell me more about that process and what do you expect from him this year?
We really like Tyler. He's coming in and done a great job. What you're getting with Tyler is a young man with great experience. He's been through ups and downs. He's had setbacks and failures and success. He knows how to handle it. And that's very, very valuable to a quarterback, especially that position. So we feel great about his experience. Yes, has he had a few injuries? Yes, he has. Has it cost him a little bit? Yes, it has. But at the same time, they were injuries you can recover from. Mm. And right now he's doing well. When we went back and watched him play, he was asked to run the football quite a bit. We probably will ask him to run it less. So I hope that diminishes the chances of him getting injured. But he's been a great leader to this point. He can really throw the football. He has athleticism. He's done a great job this summer of leading our football team like a starting quarterback would, as far as getting them together, studying the game, studying what we're doing, really being a shoulder they can lean on to ask for advice. And we just want to keep him healthy, let him go play. And at the same time, we're getting the others ready as well at that position, but he's done a great job at this point.
Well, speaking of the others, I know Pierce Clarkson is a guy who came in really highly rated. Tell me more about what you've seen from him and just that room in general. Because like you said, it has to be kind of nice to have, what is Tyler, 24 years old, to have a guy in that room that can really lead them?
Well, we've got other good quarterbacks in the room, we feel like. And, Pierce is a young man. He's just going to be a redshirt freshman. So, it takes a while to learn the speed of the game, all the nuances, but he works really hard. He can throw the football. He made strides this spring. He's got to continue to improve, and we're going to make sure we give him as many game reps as we can where he kind of feels the heat and the pressure, and he has to go out there and play. We've got some other capable backups in Harrison Bailey and Brady Allen that we feel good about, and that room continues to improve. And at some point, they're going to have to play. And I think if we can become a really good football team, what we've done in the past is we'll have packages for, at least one more, if not more than that. And we've been known to we went to Iowa and beat them when they were undefeated at Purdue. We played 3 quarterbacks in the game. We had a package for all of them, and it was very successful. Now, it doesn't always work exactly the way you want, but we want those guys to know at any given point we can put them in the game in a meaningful situation, and they can go produce for us. And if you do that, then that experience level really goes up, and it goes up fast. And if something does happen, your team doesn't go in the dumps, lose confidence, but they can still go out to execute and play at a high level.
Yeah, it just sounds like it creates such a sense of urgency saying, hey, brother, look, you got to be ready at any moment here. And I know those guys appreciate that, appreciate the challenge, and something they feel like they can probably earn and get a little bit extra time here. Let's look at these wide receivers, Coach, because we saw Chris Bell explode in the spring game, had that awesome play to kick things off and show his speed and explosive nature. You add a couple of guys with Brooks and Colin there that – I look at Colin, there's a lot of people excited about him. I know you are as well. What can we expect from that group, this season?
Well, we're excited about that position. We need to be better in the passing game, we think, in order to win at a high level. Need to be able to create more big plays up the field. Chris Bell, without question, has continued to improve. He's big, he's strong, he understands what we're doing now. He's been great to this point. We got to keep him healthy. He needs to be a big time receiver. We've added Colin Lacey, who did some great things at South Alabama. Now we got to continue to improve his route running and his knowledge of what we're doing, because it does take a little time to learn. But he's done a really good job, and we've seen vast improvement from day one he's been here to now. So that's been good to see. And he's got to have the ball in his hands, and we've got to do a good job of that. Ja'Cory Brooks is another transfer from Alabama that got off to a hot start. Maybe didn't play as much last year, but he had a shoulder injury this spring. He's healthy, and he needs to be a player for us. And he's got the athleticism, the skill. We've got to continue to just fine-tune him where he demands the best of himself and understands that you got to be a go-to player and you got to make plays for us. Mm-hmm. And then we've added, we've got some guys coming back, and Jimmy Callaway and Jaden Thompson, and we feel like that we have some guys at that position that will create some meaningful competition that will allow us to rotate guys in there, sometimes play with 4 wideouts if we have to, but increase the ability to challenge themselves to be difference makers for us, so that we can rely on the passing game when we need to.
Yeah, and how about those tight ends too? Because it seems like you have some mismatch weapons in there that, just figuring out, okay, how can I use you? How much have they earned, and kind of understand the playbook as well?
That's an important position in our offense. I think anytime you have somebody who can own the hashes is a really valuable weapon for a quarterback, makes him feel comfortable. So we were not as good last year at that, and that is half on me. I should have done a better job. But right now, we've got Mark Redmond here, a transfer from San Diego State. We feel like he'll do a great job for us. We got Nate Kariski, who played for us some last year, who continues to improve. He knows our system. He can run and catch. Jamari Johnson is a redshirt freshman from California that's been best shape he's ever been in. He's athletic. I think he can step up and play well. And then we took 2 transfers that have shown some good things. Isaiah Cummins from Kentucky and Jaleel Skinner from Miami, that all have speed and athleticism. So I think we got a nucleus of guys that we've just got to continue to progress them. The hard part about tight end is you got to be able to block some as well, and you got to have some toughness, and you got to be able to do more than just run routes and catch the ball. But all those guys have unique skills, and we've got to fine tune and figure out what exactly are they best at, so that we can put them in the game and they can all get reps throughout meaningful games.
Coach, I think the average Louisville fan is probably thinking, okay, we lose Jawar Jordan, we lose Isaac Garindo. I mean, 2 just, staples of this team. Notre Dame game, of course, comes to mind. That was electric. Tell us who's up next. Who are you going to be leaning on in that running back room?
Well, we did have really 2 good running backs last year. They did a great job for us, and both of them got drafted, which was the only team in college football to have that done. So that was great to see, and they earned that. And then that was we really relied on the running game. But Maurice Turner is back for us, who was that guy right behind him. He's really had a good spring. He's really had a good summer. I think he'll take off and can do some good things for us. Don Chaney's a transfer from Miami that, he's getting in better shape. I think he can be a productive player for us once we get him healthy and ready to go. Keywan Brown was a young running back that we had last year that really has shown some good signs. I think he can emerge for us. And then we have some young guys behind him. So, that position maybe doesn't have the full experience that the others do, but it doesn't mean they can't get it done. They just got to believe in themselves, continue to improve, but we're going to rely on them as well.
Yeah. I think, just bread and butter, what more you can have, stable of backs, you feel really good about it. It's going to be fun to see who emerges, who are those young guys and maybe less experienced guys that do that. Let's look at the defensive side of the ball, Coach, because when I'm doing this study and I'm looking at some names here, I'm looking at tape, and I'm just like, man, this unit has a chance to be really, really good, just with all the talent and experience that you do have coming back. Just in your opinion, what you've seen, what is the ceiling, I guess, for this defense and what you expect from them this fall?
Well, I expect our defense to be really good. And I think last year for 10 games, we were lights out, outstanding. I mean, played at a high level, really was the strength of our team. The last 3 games of the year, we didn't play at the level we want, but we faced good football teams and we weren't good enough. So I think we've got a lot to build on. The defensive line, I feel really good that we've got quality depth along with good starters. Ashton Gillotte obviously is leading the way, who's just a big-time defensive end that can do a lot of things. But we've got some quality depth behind him. And we feel good that we can rotate 2 and 3 deep to a certain degree and play very effective. In the secondary, we have more experience and depth there than I've ever had. We've got 5 corners that we feel really good about that can all play, and they can all play well, and we'll play them all. We've got 2 deep at each safety position that we feel good about, and we may have to play multiple 5-6 man defensive back packages because they really have shown some good things. And the linebacking core isn't as experienced, but we feel like they can play effective as well. And going into last year, we didn't have any experience there, and they all did a good job for us. So that's probably the only position that the depth isn't exactly where we want it, but it's continuing to improve. But I expect them to play well, and I feel like our defense can be the strength again of our team.
Coach, I feel like a big theme of this so far has been your depth at a lot of these position groups. And you've mentioned the last 3 games, which every Louisville fan knows, the Kentucky game, Florida State, and then Southern Cal. And you say we didn't play like we wanted to. What do you point to? I know that's something that you've studied meticulously in the offseason. What did you feel like you learned from those 3 games?
Well, we learned a lot, and not to bore you with details, but we had some turnovers in the second half against Kentucky, and 3 of them, and it cost us. We were up by 10 twice, and but I give Kentucky credit; they stayed in it and found a way to win. And we were not as good defensively. We allowed some big plays and some big runs, so we can't allow that to happen. I thought we were a little too aggressive in some of our calling, possibly. Florida State, it was kind of the tale of 2 games. The next 2 games, Florida State's our defense was outstanding. I mean, they were outstanding, played at a high level. Offensively, we couldn't get anything going. They shut us down, and they got after us, and it was just a tough ball game. And we had our chances there to win. We just let it slip away. So we were right there. And then the Southern Cal game, our defense didn't play well. They made plays against us at the skill position. They caught everything they threw. They were hot. We did not do a very good job coaching that game from all aspects. On offense, we were okay. But, it was just when you face good football teams, you got to be sharp in all aspects, and we were not. And you can't get away with a couple of things that we tried to do. So we got to be better. We got to coach better. But I think that we learned a lot. Sometimes when you don't finish the way you want, it drives you to say, you know what, we can't allow this to happen again. And our coaches have to take responsibility for it. But I think our players understand, the difference in winning and losing is so small that you cannot allow certain things to happen. So we can't allow that to repeat.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying there. Coach, a guy that you brought up that I would like to jump in a little bit more on, maybe a couple of guys actually, but looking at Ashton Gillotte, I mean, he is such a freak of nature. We've had him on the show, have developed a nice little, relationship with him, and just hearing him speak and how he sees the game. I mean, he can play every position on the defensive line. When you have a caliber of guy like that causes, and rightfully so, gets so much attention, what does that do for everybody else? How have you seen other guys step up, and just what does he bring, to the team from a leadership standpoint?
Well, we're excited about Ashton. I think he can be as good as anybody in the country. He's a tremendous teammate. He's a really good leader. He's not as vocal, but it doesn't matter. He leads by example, and he does everything right. He works really hard. He shows up and does extra work. He's a good teammate. He helps the others improve at their game. But he's a guy that can do a lot. He's got quickness and burst, along with a ton of strength and explosion in him. We play him at defensive end. Could we slide him inside some to create matchups? Yeah, we sure can. He can do a great job of it. And he just brings it every play. So he's somebody you got to account for. I think he can really disrupt an offense if we can isolate him as well as we can and not let them double team him as much as they want to. But he's going to have a great year. We got to keep him healthy. But he came back with a purpose to get his body exactly right, to be a great team leader, win a bunch of games, but also to improve his stock at the next level. And I think if he plays well and we play well around him, his stock can be as good as anybody's.
Yeah, I love that. I'm right there with you. I agree. He's that good of a player. Looking at your defensive backfield one more time, just to dive in on a couple of other guys. Riley, Griffin, Neal, I mean, those to me are all ACC caliber players. When you have that, and you mentioned, multiple defensive backs on the field doing all these different things, how does that feel? Because I know you're an offensive guy, you're the head coach, you pay attention to it all. When you know that you have those 3 that I'm good, put them on an island, put them whatever you want, that's got to be a great feeling.
Well, it is. And Quincy Riley came back to improve his body just like Ashton and get in the best shape he could, and to have a tremendous year and improve his stock. And he's been outstanding this spring, this summer. It's the best shape he's ever been in. But we have other quality depth at the corner position, like the guys you mentioned, and even a few more that have really stepped up and shown us some good things. So we got to figure out ways to get them all in the game. And in the secondary, yes, Devin Neal played well for us last year. A transfer from Baylor, really stepped up and just kind of always in the right place at the right time, and he made the catch. He made the interception. MJ Griffin was out last year with a knee injury. He's back fully healthy. He can really play. Tamari McDonald's a transfer from Tennessee that's really done some really good things. And then there's a couple others that are young and hadn't played as much that we feel really good about their progress. So that position, we expect to be dominant. And I think the better we can be up front and the shorter they can hold on to that ball and have to get rid of it fast, we can make some plays. So that's going to be the key, is making sure we disrupt the quarterback and allow those guys to create a lot of big plays.
I'm excited to see this defense. Coach, I saw a quote from you recently. You said the secondary is you think could be even better than last year's, which says a lot because, last year's defense was pretty spectacular. Let's talk about the new things we have in college football. iPads on the sidelines. You're going to be able to talk to your quarterback, talk to a guy on defense as well through the helmet. What do you think of all these new things we have in college football?
Well, I think they'll all be beneficial. Without question, the earpiece and the helmet, when the NFL has been doing it ever since when I played, it's probably about time that we did it. What's happened was there's so much no-huddle offenses in college that some guys didn't want to go to it, which I understand. And I don't know if it benefits those guys as much, but it's just beneficial. And the technology is there. You got to utilize it. So to be able to talk to your quarterback, especially myself as the play caller, to be able to say some things to him, hopefully nice things, while the game's going on, can be very beneficial. So we want to make sure we utilize that, and how you do that effectively, it will be interesting with the no huddle and the huddle aspect of it, but we think that'll be good for football. And then the iPad, you know what, the technology is so good now to be able to get information quickly and process it. I think will be very interesting in how teams utilize that, and the effectiveness of it, I think, will be beneficial. And hopefully everybody can figure out the best ways to do that quickly and efficiently. But I think it'll be good for the game, and it'll be good to see how we continue to progress with this technology.
Yeah. Last one for you, Coach. Grateful for your time. Are you in favor of more guys having the earpiece in their helmet? I mean, just to speed everything up where it's not just the quarterback, or where are you kind of on that? Because we've heard that a couple of times from different head coaches that they say, hey, why are we settling at one? Let's keep it going.
Well, and that's been brought up a couple of times. I tell you, while it sounds good to get more guys information, to how that determines, is it more people talking to them? Is it one person?
Right.
There's a lot of ifs and buts in that. So sometimes without thinking it through, I'm not for sure on that. I know the NFL does not do that yet. Sometimes I look to them, and if they're not doing it yet, maybe it's not as easy as simple as you think.
Yeah.
But if there's a good way, I'm all for it, because I do think the technology is beneficial, especially when you can turn it off and let them play at a certain degree. But, the ability to steal signals and to be able to read what other teams are doing, if we can minimize that, and if this helps in that aspect, it makes the game fairer for all, I'm all for it.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, Coach, we appreciate you. Excited for this season, and thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks again to Coach Brohm for joining us. This was actually his first appearance on the pod. We are so grateful. And he was really great to talk to. And Mac and I both said, when we hung up, we said, that guy's smart. Like, you can just, he gives you, I mean this in the best way, like mad scientist vibes. I mean, just, you can tell why he's gotten to where he is, that offensive mastermind kind of reputation with Coach Brohm, and just really nice guy. So I enjoyed chatting with him, Mac. And you mentioned before we did our interview with Coach that you were starting to turn a bit on Louisville. And I think I am too. And I think it's hard because we have that, as Jeff Brohm referenced, we have that bad taste in our mouth, losing 3 straight to end the year, right? But so much changes in the offseason in college football now. And like you said, they brought in 46 new players. And what I like about Brohm is that it feels like, we won 10 games last year. And yes, obviously they lost some guys to the draft. Jawar Jordan and Garindo are big pieces, but they're not settling. They're continuing to attack the portal like it's year one all over again.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what, we do just have to keep in the back of our minds here, that you can turn and burn. Like, you can get new team. You can have a totally new team overnight, essentially, with this. You don't have to wait on development. And I also love what he said about that, where, there might be years where we have more established guys and we feel good about experience. And here we are, and we don't need to go to the portal to get 30-something people or 20-something people, whatever it is. And so I like that mindset. I absolutely think you're right. And I think the biggest difference on where I started kind of perking my ears up and I'm like, oh, okay, kind of like what I see here. The wide receiver position, I think, is going to be more dynamic. I think they're faster, bigger, got to stay healthy. That was kind of the plague of last year. And then this defense is just going to be so good. I mean, that defensive line is going to be nasty. They're going to get after you. When you have Ashton Gillotte, celebrate. But then they added other pieces too around him. When you got a guy named Thor playing defensive line, look out, okay? The God of Thunder is coming to play. And then that secondary, I know you know Thor, right? Like that, you're good with the Marvel Universe?
Yeah.
Really pretty dude, long hair, big muscles,
Cool.
bright lights and lightning and stuff. God of Thunder, but he controls lightning. Kind of weird. Anyway, I digress. The defensive backfield, too. Like, they're going to be sick. Quincy Riley, so good. Did not get enough love last year at all. I think he's kind of coming for it all this year. You've got Griffin, who was a lot of expectation, a lot of people excited. And when Coach said the other week that he's fully back, he's healthy, we expect him to be good.
Yeah.
Louisville Twitter went and exploded. Like, they were so excited, juiced up. And so that's kind of the two big reasons why I'm like, okay, let's see what this team can do. Because we got a nice snapshot of it. They took advantage of the schedule. They don't have that benefit this year, but I think the team is going to be better.
For sure, Mac. And I think it says a lot when you have, and this was really on defense, but you have guys who you mentioned like Riley and Ashton Gillotte who could have gone to the draft. I mean, they would have been drafted, but they want to come back, increase their stock. And I think it says a lot about the culture that Jeff Brohm's been able to put in there in just 1 year.
Right.
These guys trust him to come back. I think that's huge. And then the other big part of this, of course, is bringing in Tyler Shook, right? Because he's been everywhere. Oregon, Texas Tech. I looked at, he already has he has an undergraduate and a master's degree, and he's 24 years old. So I guess he's getting another
going for that PhD, baby. No, we're going for Dr. Shook.
in football. PhD in football. But Louisville's obviously very high on him. And if he can stay healthy and he can kind of manage the team, if he has a bit more explosiveness to the wide receiver position, I think this could be really interesting because they don't need him to do that much, Mac. This defense is still going to be so good. It was top 20 defense last year. Still going to be really good. They don't need him to do too much. They need him to just kind of manage, not turn the ball over, which is really what Plummer did for a lot of the year until those last 3 games where they had a few more struggles with turnovers.
Yeah, till he didn't. And I think, more talented of an arm, than what we saw last year. So can he stay healthy? And I love what Coach said about, hey, we're probably not running him a lot. We're going to protect him that way. We want him to throw the football. Everything you just said there, KG, I absolutely love and think it's spot on. What's interesting about Louisville, too, when you look at this schedule, 2-0 in a hurry, feel really good about that. Georgia Tech, a little bit of a tweener. We saw what happened in that game last year. And then at Notre Dame, which they handled business last year at home.
They did.
Broke the curse. Notre Dame had won 10,000 in a row against the ACC. Louisville said that stops today and dominated those guys. That is going to be a really fun game. But then you're in a gauntlet. Like you're playing a tough schedule here. October 25th on, you see Louisville one time. Like you're on the road going to all these different places. It's going to be a challenge, but I like the experience they have. Defense, we know, usually travels well. That's going to have to be a huge piece of this thing.
For sure, Mac. They only have, if I'm looking at this right, they have 6 home games, which, some teams end up with 7, and they have 3 straight to start the year at home. So that's where a lot of your home games get used up. The final stretch, you said it, their final 5 games, 4 are on the road. I'm not sure anybody else in college football has that. So, can they, like Jeff Brohm was saying, I mean, I don't think Jeff Brohm's here for excuses of being on the road. Can they band together and get it done? Now, at BC, the opponent doesn't necessarily scare you, but you're on the road. At Clemson, obviously, that could be an issue. Bye week, and then at Stanford. It's not the opponent, it's just the trip. Travel. And then Kentucky, of course, I felt bad, Mac, in the interview because Jeff Brohm kept mentioning the 3-game skit. And I just, what did you learn? And I asked the question and I just felt him be like, oh, man. and specifically the Kentucky game, because we all know, I felt like Florida State and Southern Cal, maybe they were outclassed a bit in those games. Like Brohm said, Kentucky, they should have won. Like there's absolutely no way around it. They should have won. So maybe I just should have asked about Florida State and Southern Cal because I think I hurt the man. I really do.
Especially being a Louisville guy. But can I just make a plea? Can I make a plea real quick? Can we please, my goodness, beat Kentucky?
Oh.
I am so sick of it. I'm sick of it, KG. Beat them. Do whatever it takes. Please. That's all I need. That's all I need to see. We'll see what happens. We'll see. I'm excited for the Cards, though. I'm excited.
Let's look the win total. 8.5. Pick.
Yeah.
8.5.
It's a big number. It's a big number.
With the schedule, with all these road games, 8.5. Oh.
I'm at 7 right now. I just buzzed through it. I feel good about 7. So I guess I'm going under. I
think I'm going under just because I feel like the schedule is hard.
Yeah.
The way it's tough. Set up. Mm-hmm. But with the depth they have, if Shook can be the guy, perhaps.
We'll see. Yeah. And if that defense can just crank it up, who cares? It doesn't matter. You win by 1 or 100. It says a W, and that's what people care about. We'll see. Unfortunately, I think I'm going under. Maybe we'll see what happens. I change my mind as we get closer to the season. We start picking games. But that was fun. It's great to have Coach on. Grateful for his time. And we are rolling through these things. We're sprinting through this first week, KG. So y'all just hold on. We appreciate all your support. Go over to YouTube, subscribe, leave some comments. Tell us what you think about Louisville. Are you persuaded by our argument here? Where did you start? Where did you finish? We got to know. I want to hear from you. And, of course, the OGs over on Apple Podcasts as well. Rate, review, subscribe. We would greatly appreciate that. But until tomorrow, we'll see y'all.